What's up, cousin? Welcome to CoCo Conjure. Here we talk about all things hoodoo, folklore, and spiritual journeys. My goal is to give foundation to the novice and inspiration to the advanced practitioner. If you have not guessed already, my name is CoCo. Cousin, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I am so blessed that you've decided to click on this and let me talk at you for a couple of minutes. If you could be so kind, please be sure to like and subscribe wherever you are listening. So for this episode, we are going to wrap up our discussion on the solar rhythm. We actually started the discussion like season 2. It had to have been like season 2 with the winter solstice. And as of this recording, the autumnal equinox is upon us. So if you're new here, let me just catch you up. Let me tell you my worst kept secret. Everyone knows, but you're new, so you don't know, cousin. I'm going to let you know. I hope you're sitting down. This is devastating for some people. I am a pagan hoodoo. I am secular. I follow no gods, not an Orisha, not a Loa. Jesus is not worried about me. Okay. Instead, I'm an earth-based pagan. I think everything we need to sustain ourselves is right here. The spirit of life breathed into this universe and everything created after is here for us to utilize. I don't think that the spirit of life owes us anything. I don't think we owe the spirit of life anything. I think life just happens, right? And because of that, everything we need to survive is already in front of us, already around us. And with our place in the cosmos, the solar rhythm is firmly wedged into my foundations as a magical person. So before I go any further, let's talk about what the solar rhythm is. So just like there's a lunar rhythm, right? You follow the phases of the moon every 28 days, 13 moons in a year. The sun gives us the same sort of rhythm, right? We start, some people like to say that the spring equinox is the beginning. I am a firm believer that the winter solstice is the beginning. The winter solstice happens around the new year, and it's that moment when the days are short and it's the shortest day of the year. The day is short, the night is long. And then after that, as we move forward, the days will get longer and longer and longer as the sun makes a comeback, if you will. So as we follow the sun's comeback from the winter solstice to the spring equinox to the summer solstice where we left off last, and to the autumnal equinox, we have this beautiful cycle, this beautiful rise and fall of time that we can utilize in planning our everyday life and planning for our desires and goals and reaching for those blessings. And this solar rhythm also of the shortest day and then time evening out and then the longest day, the hottest day usually, right? And then time evening out again, really impacts how we behave as creatures on this planet. It impacts when things grow. It impacts when we go outside. It impacts when we make the most time for family. It impacts if you have the seasonal depression. It impacts your emotional and mental health. Like the solar rhythm is a year-long wave that we ride regardless of if we ride it with our magical brooms or not. Okay. So that's the solar rhythm. And just like the lunar rhythm where there's the new moon and on the new moon you do this thing and then on the full moon you do this thing, so on and so forth. The solar rhythm has the same feelings, right? This has the same vibe, if you will. It has the same uses. However, instead of it being 28 days like a lunar cycle, it takes all 365 and a half and a quarter, whatever it is, days in the year. And because it takes that long to complete the solar rhythm, to complete that sun cycle, we use the solar rhythm to reach for the big things, right? To help us plan and attack the desires and goals that are too big for 1 month. Now, we might take those big desires and break them into small chunks. So like, for example, say I want a new house, right? So I might do work all year round, planned out on how I'm going to get this house, mundane and spiritual. But I'm also going to do a monthly thing with the lunar cycle, maybe about money or about meeting the right housing agent or making sure that my mortgage lender is on my side. Like all of those things you might do in a smaller bits, like to break the work up, the big desire, right? Breaking it into smaller bits. But over the course of the year, you're working on this bigger goal, and you can tie that to the solar rhythm to make sure you stay on track, to utilize the spirit and around us, to utilize that life-giving force around us to create an existence that feels right for you. So sometimes when we think goals and desires, we think that they need to be material in nature. Like we do A, we do B, we get C, you know? But sometimes your goals and desires can just be to better yourself, can just be to attempt to find and keep harmony in your life. Now, life be lifing. Like I said before, the spirit of life does not owe you a goddamn thing, okay? And the moment I realized that, the moment things got a little easier for me. But the spirit of life owes you nothing, and you owe it nothing. It breathed life into the universe. It did its job, and then chaos ensued, okay? So instead, we do work sometimes to just maintain that balance and harmony. Sometimes it's material, but sometimes it's internal. Sometimes it's the path we want to walk on. So we have peace and balance and joy and freedom. You understand what I mean? So in the winter, on the winter solstice, we open our roads and we think about exactly what it is that will bring us the peace and the joy and the freedom, right? If it's material, if it's introspective work, but regardless, we think about those things, we contemplate those things, and we kind of map out in our mind what we would like our life to look like for the next year. Right. And then you start working on it. You get your resolutions, you get your goals, and you start working on that. And then in the spring, now that you've kind of redefined it, or I should say refined it for yourself, you plant those seeds. You put those seeds in the ground, and you take a moment, that balancing moment of spring, to say, this is exactly what I want for sure. All right. And then in the summer, from spring equinox to the summer solstice, you're working on those goals, working on those desires. And then the summer comes and it's the longest day and it's hot outside, and there's so much activity going on outside. There's so many events. There's so much to do with your family. Spiritually, it's hot, spiritually hot. Things are revving up. Things are reaching that zenith. And we use that to push harder to those goals. We use that to push further for our wants and desires. For me personally this year, a part of it was going outside. I'm in a new body. I feel healthier. That's something I've been working on for a few years now. I want to go outside. I want to enjoy what the world has to offer. I want to, go to that beach. I want to go to that festival. I want to, go walk around a mall if I want to. And a part of that was also finding some companionship for myself, someone that I can watch TV and they can rub my ass and we can all have a good time, but it was also about being someone who can sustain that kind of companionship, who can sustain that kind of life desire, that desire to live and be joy forward, right? So we pushed that in the summer. We hit the heat of that in the summer. Now things are cooling off again. Things are starting to die around us, right? The leaves are starting to change, right? And we're entering into that autumnal equinox, that time of rebalance again. Okay, so now we just got to finish that loop. Now we just have to finish that cycle. We were introspective. We did our inner gardening. We planted those goals and seeds. We used the heat of the summer to really push forward, push ourselves a little faster, a little forward. And for this year, 2025, the autumnal equinox, the fall equinox, falls on September 22nd. That means we are 3/4 of the way through that solar rhythm, and it is now time to reap what we sowed. The autumnal equinox is a point of balance, equal parts day and night. And as a hoodoo, we can also say we've reached a spiritual crossroads as we take stock of what we wanted and what we grew throughout the year thus far. You're also going to hear a lot of people talk about the thinning of the veil during the autumn equinox and moving towards the winter solstice. This thinning of the veil is where the spiritual world and the mundane world touch so closely that even a layperson can get that spine tingling feeling of the spirits around them, right? Hence, why this is also a time of year when we double down on our ancestral veneration, not just those who guide us day to day, but the entirety of the clan and tribe that made us who we are today. Now, this equinox, the autumnal equinox, it affects all of us all over this planet in similar ways. The neo-pagans and the Celts, the Wiccans, will celebrate Mabon with apple picking and ancestor veneration and feast dumb suppers or silent suppers and so on. I'm going to have a hard time pronouncing this, but I think it's pronounced Chuseok. It's a South Korean celebration around this time of year. It's a major festival honoring ancestors by visiting family graves, wearing their traditional clothing, dancing and telling stories, eating some really tasty rice cakes. And this type of festival can really be found all over Asia, not just in South Korea. Honoring ancestors, eating rice cakes. And in China, they even enjoy some full moon revelry. Our native cousins of various nations will mark the turning of the seasons with festivals and gatherings honoring the earth and the land spirits, the three sisters, so on and so forth. But what does this mean for us as Black practitioners in America? What does this mean for us as hoodoos, right? Well, those bigger workings that you put into motion 3 seasons ago are now starting to bear fruit. Or you'll need to take advantage of this last harvest of blessings before we go back into our introspection. This is also a time to uncross and cut ties. As the season progresses, you have to decide what you are going to leave on the vine to wither and die and what you want to take with you into, the new year. So, maybe it was a summer fling and it has to stay in the summer. Cuffing season is coming up. Maybe this is not just a summer fling. Maybe it's time to double down on that during cuffing season. Maybe you burned so hot over the summer and you got downright hedonistic that now it's time to go inside. Start bringing yourself inside. Start cooling off, right? Allowing yourself a time of balance and healing and a time of self-evaluation, as you move into the winter. It's also time to prepare ourselves for winter, like literally. Like I normally will get meats from my freezer. I will get all those fresh fruits and vegetables that are out at the farms and the vegetable stands right now, and break them down, cut them up, put them in the freezer, that kind of thing. So that way, as we move through the fall, so that way, as I go into winter, I'm still getting a chance to eat fresh fruits and vegetables, and without having to, what's it called? Like go out to the store all the time to, during the colds and the snow and the short days to go fill up my coffers. Like I legitimately do that. I've been doing that since I've been on my own. But like, that's what we got to look for now in this season of autumn. We are fortifying our roots. We are preparing for the winter. We are harvesting those last bits of blessings that we called on earlier this year. Some holidays of note coming up that will help you focus in, besides the equinox itself, is All Saints Day and All Souls Day. Everyone knows about Halloween. Everyone knows about Samhain. It's spelled Samhain. It's pronounced Samhain on October 31st. But very few of us talk about All Souls Day on November 1st. True, it is a Catholic celebration mostly, but hoodoos around the country have adopted this day as our like Day of the Dead. You know, they head to cemeteries and they have feasts and they clean off the gravestones of their ancestors and be amongst, the city of the dead, amongst the people who have passed before us, who have left us the blessings that we continue to reap and sow. To remember them, to include them in our life, to show respect. All of that is up to the practitioner. But All Souls Day is a day of remembrance for the ancestors of our blood and of our roots. Whether your hoodoo is painted in Catholicism or Christianity or not, mine is not, I still consider All Souls Day as a good time to dedicate that extra little bit of myself to my ancestor veneration practice, to my ancestor altar. That's usually when I break out the big meals. That's usually when I will sit with them much longer than normal, do more prayers than normal for them, just thanking them for how they've gotten me through the year, how their guidance and leadership has really helped to transform my life. And it's a time to give to the ancestors without asking for anything in return. On All Souls Day, I do not ask for anything. I do not petition them for anything. I just say thank you. If you visit my YouTube page, I posted an All Souls Day, All Saints Day prayer that's easy to recite as you light your candles for your ancestors, if that's something you want help with. And I don't think I can link it because it's a post, but I'll be sure to repost it around the same time this year. What else? Oh, before we get to All Souls and All Saints Day, on November 1st or close to November 1st, the entirety of October is Hoodoo Heritage Month, right? We can't miss that. Usually various online communities will give you a day-by-day practice breakdown to help you like follow along and to help you celebrate. It's a great way for the novice to get a feel for what hoodoo is about. And it's a reminder to the more adept of us that hoodoo is just as much about culture and justice as it is about the magic of it all. On the last few day-by-day, play-by-play released, calendars that were released online, October 31st is listed as Crossroad Man Day. Right. So I do not do my crossroad work during the autumn. But if you want to, that sounds like a great time to go out to your open road, like do your open road work, your petition, go straight to the crossroads, straight to the man himself. But all of this happens much, much deeper in the fall season. We can do what can we do, on the actual day of the equinox or as close to the equinox as we can get. I would say the working that you did in the spring, now is the time to do it again, right? So if you were doing big work for money, then you do it again and you make sure you emphasize thanks to whichever spirits you called on to help you. This is also a time to do your cut and clears, right? Your black walnut bath. Your 5-finger grass uncrossing bath. Now is the time to do those because now as we move out of fall into winter, we're not just harvesting blessings, but we're also, snipping the cords. We're cutting those ties to things that we don't want to hibernate with, right? We're going to leave it in the summer, right? We're going to leave it in the summer, and what we're going to take in the fall is going to be joy forward. And of course, you can go down to the crossroads, leave that petition for that last push to get you what you've been working for the whole year, because it is the equinox, both spring and fall, are a time of balance, are a time of spiritual crossroad, are a time of making a choice on how you want to move through the next half of the year, right? Honestly, for this equinox, I think I'm going to sit down and focus on my finances and see just how much I cut up during the summer, because I cut up some during the summer. I'm going to focus on just balancing that portion of the program, my abundance, living in my overflow. What do I need to do to get back to that? I'm going to focus on cleaning my home and refreshing my altar spaces on the day of, just so that way, whatever I accumulated, or in this case, I guess, left empty in my temple, I can refresh, I'm also going to plan out what I need to make or do or prepare for the coming winter. So I'm going to look at my oils. I'm going to look at my apothecary. I'm going to look at my freezer. I'm going to figure out, like, what do I need moving forward? So that way, when it's time to hibernate, I can do so comfortably. And honestly, I probably will do that 5-finger grass right, if for no other reason than to slow myself down and set myself right, from the summer. Because, cousin, I don't know if you kept up with the shorts. I don't know if you kept up with like my almost daily vlogging, but I got into some shit this summer. And I feel like an uncrossing would be very helpful. It would be very helpful. If I do an uncrossing, I would start it a 5-finger grass right uncrossing. You just need 5-finger grass. If you want to add more, you can. But you make a tea and you bathe with it for 9 days. Now remember, when we make spiritual baths, it's not a sit and soak. It's a movement. You're moving it over your body. I have a whole episode on spiritual baths. If you're on YouTube, I'll be sure to link it on the end card. But long story short, if I start the rite is 9 days. So if I start 4 days before the equinox, the very middle of the rite falls on the balance of time, right? It falls on the equinox, and then 4 more days after. So I've really balanced. I'm including the equinox, the balance portion of the equinox, the spirit of being at that spiritual crossroad. I'm including that in the rite itself. You don't have to do it that way. A lot of hoodoo is dealer's choice, or it's what you've learned from your mentor or your elder and so forth. But I like that. My number is 3, so I always do things in nines, like 3, 6, 9 anyway. And I like to find the balance in things. So I'm going to do it 4 days before on the equinox itself, and then 4 days after. And I'm probably going to follow up with a bath for like blessing, money blessing, or I don't know. I don't know yet. I got time, but as of recording this, I know I have time to think about it and plan it out. But I want to uncross and then cover myself in blessing afterward. So that way I know good things are coming my way. Okay, so yeah. We're at the end of that cycle. We're reaching the end of the cycle before it starts over again anyway. We are in that portion of the program where we start to harvest and we start to stockpile and prepare ourselves for our introspection. And I got to tell you, what a good year. It was a great year. I know it's not over yet. We have a whole other season to go, but it was such a wonderful year. Even if things didn't work out exactly, I feel like a different person. I'm a much different person now than I was when I started my crossroad ritual. And I can really see those pathways that opened up to me. I can really see how my blessings came to me, even in unexpected ways. And I can also see, how I was protected, how I was sheltered this year, because there was a bunch of things that could have gone wrong, very, very wrong, and they didn't. So, what a good year, May many more great years come our way as we start over on our solar rhythm. All right, we've entered the portion of the podcast where I scour the interwebs and I pick questions or talk about topics that I find interesting. So I try to relate them to the actual topic of the episode, but sometimes I just don't. And it's my podcast, and I feel like you guys ride with me on almost anything. Like if you found me, you're riding with me. You get it. So yeah, I'm just gonna read two questions or whatever thoughts we have that I found online and see, like, respond, how they go. If you would like to have one of your questions featured and you're not too shy, feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube channel, or you can send me an email at cococonjure@gmail.com. The first one actually comes from the Real Witchcraft Reddit board. And it says, is it wise to do multiple spells for one purpose? I want to manifest a house, but want it within 2025. So will it be okay that I do more than one spell for this purpose? Is it wise to do multiple spells for one purpose? I mean, I guess it depends on how you approach your spell work, how you approach your spiritual work. I personally believe in layering your work. I think that someone who can layer their work, like, it's a sign of a more advanced practitioner. Because you could just do a spell for a house, but like, you have to open your roads for that. You have to maybe do some financial work. You have to be prepared to sweeten up your real estate agent. Like, there's things that need to be done. I don't believe in one and done. I think, again, it might just be because I'm a hoodoo. I practice folk magic. But you do work as work needs to be done. I know that sounds crazy in this episode where I'm talking about timing, but in all honesty, you do the work as it needs to be done as well. You take advantage of whatever timing you can take advantage of, and you sometimes have to break the spell work or the spiritual work down into smaller pieces so that way you can hit your goal. So is it wise to do multiple spells for one purpose? Absolutely, I think so. But they should target different problems. They should target different problems. They should provide solutions to different arenas of the same issue. I hope that makes sense what I'm saying. So yeah, for sure. This was posted. I'm recording this in July. This was posted in like June. So hopefully by now this cousin has their home. Prayerfully. But for everyone else, like, yeah, sometimes you're going to have to do multiple work. I think I did a little love work, nothing too crazy over the summer. So like, I did the cinnamon bath that I found before I got on the dating apps. And then I set up a little altar space in my bedroom where I had my petition to find a companion. Like, I wrote out what that would look like for me. I wanted to find a companion. And then I just I let the dating app do its thing. Like, the dating apps work in a woman's favor. I use woman to mean a cisgendered woman. It works in our favor because there's usually more guys than ladies, and men will literally seek you out. They'll hunt for you. They'll swipe. They just swipe, get that wide net, right? So all we have to do as women is just read through who swiped us, read through who thought we were cute and thought that, they aligned with us, whatever, to really make sure that's true. And then when I went on dates, I had on like different oils or blessed objects. So that way I knew when I knew this is the person that I want to spend time with. I knew that, like, I knew it in my bones. I knew it in my marrow. It was that I don't have a lot of talents. I don't see things and I don't hear things, but I have the knowing. Big Sis says it's my intuition, I guess, but like, I have a knowing of like, this is the person that I will spend the quality time with me. This is the person who is easy to be with, like that kind of thing. So yeah, so that wasn't a I lit a pink candle and said finished, right? Like I made sure that I set myself up to receive blessing when it came to me, whoever that person might be, um, and that I attracted the right kind of person to me, as much as possible. So yeah, sometimes you're gonna have to do multiple workings for one goal. That's perfectly normal, and at least in my view. Now, I don't do the exact same one all the time. Like, I make sure to target different areas of the problem so I can have a full solution. But yeah, that's totally normal. I think that this equinox coming up is the perfect time for that kind of spell work, that kind of spiritual work, to do a removal and then call for a blessing, like to balance out the two. So you're gonna multiple spells on the equinox actually sounds like a good idea. Sounds like a good way to go about it. Just to make sure that they're targeted to actual desires, wants, and goals. And different facets of those desires, wants, and goals. Okay, last thing. This one comes from a hoodoo group on Facebook. It says, celibacy and fasting will damn near give you psychic powers. Celibacy and fasting will damn near give you psychic powers. So, oh man, I am a very practical person in my magic. I try to be anyway. I sometimes I sound very woo woo, and I know that, but I try to be a very practical person. Um, I think that abstaining from physical intimacy and fasting the body can be beneficial. It can help you to refocus. The fasting part, please be careful for health reasons. You don't just not eat. You might, only eat after sundown or that kind of thing. Like during Ramadan, like Muslims would do during Ramadan. But it can definitely help provide you with clarity. I think it's because if I had to say why, it would be because now you've cut out areas of your life that split your focus, right? If you're not worrying about when your next big orgasmic moment will come from, then you have time to do something else, right? If you're not worrying about cooking 2 out of 3 meals every day, then you have time to focus in on another part of your life. At least that's my take on it. I don't know if it will give you psychic powers. I'm a believer in the thought of your power, your talents, supernatural they may be, are something you're born with, and then over time you hone it. Right? You can hone that. My nephew can draw very well. He's been drawing all his life. He's a very, very good artist. However, he still went to high school and took college classes to hone that skill. I could do the same thing he did and take a class, but I still won't be as good as he is. I don't have the innate talent for it, right? So, can you hone a skill? Will celibacy and fasting and dedicating time to your skills, can that help you hone in on your talents and skills? Absolutely. Will it give you psychic powers? No. No, it won't. But it will make things clear for you. And sometimes just clearing the way for your knowing to speak, for your intuition to speak up, sometimes that's enough. Sometimes that's enough. Moving into sacred times like an equinox, it's not uncommon for people to have a week or a month of celibacy and fasting. That's not uncommon. just to help recenter themselves, rebalance themselves, and to also kind of like a cleansing ritual almost as well to get rid of that gunk. So that's also something you can do heading into the equinox if that's something you feel like you need. If you feel like you need to move your body differently besides, with a tango partner, and if you feel like you want to, you know, not eat meat or only eat after, the sun goes down, that's perfectly reasonable way to help you rebalance yourself as well. Okay, we've reached the end of the podcast. Thank you guys for staying with me for as long as you have. Thank you for just letting me talk at you for 30 minutes and some change. Before we get out of here, cousin, I want to let you know that you deserve the world. Okay, we are coming into our last season before the cycle starts over, and baby, it's going to be a good season. Okay, it's going to be a good season because now we are reaping what we sowed. We are gathering up all those blessings, and we are like dancing in the joy and the victory that has come over us. I would like to remind you to move joy forward. I would like to remind you that peace and balance are important things to focus on at this time of year. And cousin, no matter the time of year, regardless of what's going on around you, if you call for your blessings, they will come to you. I will see you guys next time.